So before there were all of the genetically modified corn and you could save your own seeds, people used to have corn cribs, and I wanted to do the same thing here. So I built my first outbuilding, and it was a corn crib. I went to Lowe's and bought some lumber and some concrete forms, and then I started playing around with the boards and the forms just to see how things would slip together, and I finally ended up with 2 pieces going long ways and 5 pieces going across, and it ended up being about 4 by 8. And I did it that way so I wouldn't be wasting any boards. So those are 2 by 8s for the floor and 4 by 4 uprights. Once I had that basic form put together, I went to buy some decking boards for the floor and started piecing the floor together. Now, before I did that, I stapled some hardware cloth down on the frame, trying to make it rat and mouse proof. And before I nailed the first board, I went ahead and spaced them all out and made sure I would have a little bit of a gap between them so that the corn could breathe even on the bottom. Then I started bracing the uprights. One of my techniques that I quickly developed was I would take a member and shake it to see if it was structurally sound, and I was finding that it wasn't. So I put the braces on the top, and I decided to double them. And once I had that accomplished, putting in the diagonal braces, cutting them at 45, I found out that 2 2x4s does not make a 4x4, because the 4x4 is actually 3.5 inches wide, and the 2x4s are only 1.5 inches wide. So I had to do some creative work there to get this to be good and solid. I used large 1/2 inch carriage bolts on the major beams to take the weight, and I ended up bracing top and bottom. But when I was done, I could shake or push on any of the uprights, and they felt good and solid, so I felt like I was structurally sound. I added additional braces front and rear, started building my own trusses. Now, these trusses I made aren't to any exacting specification. They were just the right size and shape, and I figured that since I was going to use 5 of them, I thought that, since I'm using skip sheathing and cedar shakes, that it would handle the weight just fine. I tend to overbuild everything, and so it ended up working out. That's the skip sheathing, and then with the corn growing already, I had a deadline. The shakes were easy. Just start on the bottom and move up. Give yourself, some overlap. And I had to get a scaffold to get up to the top safely. Once I got the shakes in place, I built a top for them, and that was out of cedar too. And so then once I got the roof done, I started putting up additional boards on the sides with the same gap as on the floor so that air could get through. And then I had the gable ends to go ahead and cover too. The door, first of all, the doorway had to be a little stronger than everything else. Then the actual door that I built ended up being really heavy, so I had to use shims to mount the hinges so that the door wouldn't rub against any part of the doorway. And once I got that in place, I just bolted it all down, and I was pretty much done.